And I'll just welcome Anup and Chris on stage. But just some added context. You know, it's interesting. I did a few virtual events, one in 21 and 2022, and we did talk about sustainability inside those sessions. And it's interesting. There was a lot of conversation in the chat in these different sessions and the Mentimeter about architects having an interest in sustainability. As I said, part of the theme around helping our organizations and caring and helping is about helping as well, I guess, from a planet context as well, from an overall sustainability. So that's the thread that we've had a lot of interest in, and we hope to carry the conversation on around the difference that architects can make on the subject of sustainability overall. So I'll turn it over to Anup and Chris.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. So sustainability comes last. Okay, thank you. Yeah, so I mean, we recognize that we are the last session now, and that thing that keeps you away from lunch. So,
no, I'm before lunch.
You're before lunch? Okay, so then we can take it easy. Right? Yeah, sure. Okay, so we want to talk about how we. First of all, my name is Chris Naab. I'm with SAP IT, and I'm an enterprise architect, and we're using business architecture. We're using a lot of business architecture. We talked a lot about business architecture on this summit starting on Monday, particularly with Wendy. And so here is an example how we're actually applying it. Here's a use case on how we're using business architecture to improve our, to translate our strategy to become net zero, into execution. And that's what this presentation is all about. So sustainability at SAP, just a context, just to give a bit of context, and then focus on the architecture investigation we have done on carbon footprint reporting using our business architecture, using our enterprise architecture methodology, and everything starts with business architecture. Everything we do starts with business architecture. So then we'll talk about the findings of that investigation, and then Anup is going to talk about how the SAP services we help you become sustainable enterprises in your transformation. Okay, so quick context setting. So what's SAP's approach on sustainability? So we are both an exemplar, and I will talk about how SAP as an organization is an exemplar on how we're trying to lead by example in our own sustainable business operations and practices. And then Anup is going to talk about the enabler piece, how SAP is an enabler on helping you become sustainable enterprises. Okay, all living on our mission to help the world run better and improve people's lives. So on this architecture investigation on carbon footprint reporting, climate is at the top of issues. Everybody knows on carbon emissions, they are impacting the increase of global temperatures without any scientific doubt. And they're leading to climate change with all the consequences. So we as enterprise architects, we wanted to take a proactive role, and we engaged with our business peers to demonstrate what is the potential of digital solutions to improve carbon footprint reporting. Yeah, so that's how we came to start this architecture investigation on carbon footprint reporting. Okay, so what is the state of how do we currently report on carbon footprint? So it's part of our quarterly ESG reporting. So it's part of an integrated report where both financial and ESG KPIs are brought together. And greenhouse gas emission is one of the KPIs among other KPIs that report there. So it's also externally audited. So we have external auditors coming in, checking our methodology, our processes, how we measure carbon footprint and the IT, just to ensure that it has the highest assurance level and before we publish these figures. And it's heavily IT supported, so we use a custom solution for our for this reporting. So it's based on the business intelligence platform on SAP HANA. And the front end is SAP Analytics Cloud. so to give every employee access to those KPIs. And you see a screenshot here on our current sustainability dashboard. So it works. It's good enough. And but we tried to look a little bit under the hood using this with this investigation. Maybe a little bit more of context. So our emission targets. So we've achieved our target to become carbon neutral, but of course, like many other enterprises, we are compensating. So we are not net zero, but we have a target of becoming net zero in 2030. And until then, we will be compensating. And but in order to understand how much we have to compensate, this is what we need our reporting for. Yeah. So starting point, again, business architecture. And so we started identifying business capabilities which have an impact on carbon footprint. And then we identify from those capabilities, show you that in the tool later on, how which corresponding applications carry the data and which data we need there to measure those, to measure the carbon footprint. And then we performed a maturity assessment, that's our standard enterprise architecture methodology, together with our business. So how do we get that input? How do we get to the capabilities? We used our 2022 integrated report. So we did this analysis last year. So the latest and greatest was the 22 integrated report, and we looked at those 16 emission categories that are listed there, so including combustion for the buildings, combustion for our corporate cars, also combustion for our corporate jets that our board is using, and various other emission categories. And we mapped those then to business capabilities in our business architecture. So, and from there, everything was pretty straightforward because we have everything well documented in our Lean IX. So it's only by clicking on the capabilities, like here you see an example, fleet management, we're able to identify which applications carry the data. And so we did that for all those capabilities that we identified based on the integrated report. And did a maturity assessment, so on those capabilities. So we did interviews with business, with sustainability experts in our own organization on, and really tested those business capabilities and checked whether they're on their ability to fulfill current and anticipated future requirements on carbon footprint reporting. For financial reporting, this kind of reporting is very stable. But for carbon footprint reporting, the past years, it's been much more dynamic, and we expect that lawmakers will continue to change, to bring in change where we have to react on, and we need to be ready. And so this was a bit the background of this effort we've done. So we've assessed then the data, we've assessed the process, how we collect the data, and we assessed the technology behind. And then simply rated it on our standard scale from 1 to 5. Is it insufficient? Is it maybe fit for now? Is it fit for the future? So we gave it 1 to 5 stars. So, and the result of this is, it was a bit alarming in some areas. We're not doing always great, but we found that we are able to meet current requirements. But a big question mark was on once these requirements change, we feel we're probably not ready, and it'll take us a long time to address those. So as a result here, we identified areas, applications where the process of getting the data can be automated. So for example, for our corporate cars. So we have we're actually doing some manual upload from PDF document that we're regularly getting from some of the suppliers and upload them manually. So not very future-proof process, and other areas that we want to that we identify that we can improve here. Yeah. So that was it. That's the result of this investigation. And now Anup is going to talk to you on the services approach.
I hope you can hear me clearly. Thank you, Chris. My name is Anup Das. I'm part of a group called SAP Transformation Hub. I'm primarily responsibility to enable our max attention customers through our architecture transformation portfolio. So some of the slides which I'm showing, you might have seen in my detailed sessions. But let me give you a perspective of how SAP is enabling our customers to become sustainable enterprise. Chris shared our own internal story and the similar approach and the exercise what we have done internally for the maturity assessment, we also do for our customers with our robust approach, what you have been seeing in the last 3 days, right? SAP Enterprise Architecture Framework, which has the 4 pillars, the methodology, content, tools, and services. So this honeycomb or this modules, what you see here is the 4th block called services. This is how we help our customers, and it becomes very easy when we go into this picture and start explaining from a sustainability perspective, like what are your sustainability priorities, what are your strategies, what are your capabilities which you have now, or what are the capabilities which you are going to adopt in future. We have 2 sets of products to address these 2 goals. So essentially what you see, if you see from the left to right, it follows an approach. And many of you have by now have by heart the whole enterprise architecture framework. So it is starting from strategic assessments, which is part of the architecture vision. Then the capability, which is the blue part, where we talk about capabilities, processes, and there are some templates and guidelines as well. And then we get into the application. What are the applications which will fulfill those business capabilities from to draw the target application architecture, and then get into the technical side like data center, hosting, and there are some criteria. What Chris was showing was also on the technical side, which will help to monitor your emissions and waste, right? And we also help to draw their target architecture for customer. That's the pillar which you see on the gray color. And by doing all this, we also need some governance. That's what it's showing in one slide, how we address to help our customer to draw the target architecture for all solutions, but also for sustainability. This is what we follow as well for our customers. Now, let me give you some of the most frequently seen pattern for our customers and how we address that in a very methodical approach through our content, standard content. Now, on all of these frequently used patterns, there is one pattern, what you see here, transformation into sustainable enterprise. There could be more, but this is what we see more often when we go and meet our customers. So essentially, all these patterns, what you see here, could be grouped into a pre-selected modules, and it is like a plug and play. Each module can have a depth. Like for example, in transformation into sustainable enterprise, if the customer says that we want to start from understanding the sustainability priorities for SAP and also understand the sustainability priorities for customer, and then we see where we need to spend time now. So as you can see, this is more save the planet kind of campaign which is going on, right? Also, it increases the shareholder value, and also you see the annual report, the sustainability report is also part of the addendum. But I think this is going to be more and more important as it becomes legal implications. There is a compliance attached to it, that if you don't follow, or if you don't report the emission norms in terms of scope 1, scope 2, scope 3, then you might be penalized. That is where what we are seeing from our customers, that it is getting more and more important for them, and that's where the request comes. But it doesn't stop there, right? Now, if you put an enterprise architecture hat, we need to see what are the applications which will, which we are already using to get to be compliant, or you need another new applications to report it back in a more transparent and an efficient way. So that's where the enterprise architecture comes in. That's where enterprise architecture's methodology, content, and tool will help you to achieve that. So these are like most frequent patterns, but let me give you three key questions which we keep hearing from our customers for sustainability area, right? The first question is, how do I assure that my sustainability strategy is reflected in my enterprise architecture? This is a very important question. For SAP, it is like zero emissions, zero waste, and zero inequality. And then we also have priorities on holistic steering and reporting, which is where you need to be more transparent, where you need to be more compliant to show what we are, what you are doing on these parameters, which is, sometimes very legal. Sometimes you need to do it for the better operations. So that's the first question, and that's where you will use our modules of strategic mapping, business capability, business processes. The next question, it is more traditional. Many of our customers are already using the EH&S modules, product compliance modules. So, and you are already using it on ECC. Now, when you plan for an S/4HANA journey, the question is, how does these applications will fit in my target architecture? So that's the second question. So what are the target applications for the traditional EH&S, such as product compliance, environment, health and safety, running in SAP ECC solution? So this also has a lot of change when you go to S4 in the way the whole data structure and the data model of how EH&S was there earlier. Again, as you know, many of you, EH&S is also, SAP has acquired a company, and then we got into this capability, right? So it is a very robust solution, but then when you go to map to the target, there are a lot of data model changes there. The third and the most frequently asked questions nowadays is, because there is a footprint management monitoring required, because there are plastic tax and recycling requirements are coming up. So there are questions on our SAP's new products, which is SAP Product Footprint Management, SAP Responsible Design and Production, and SAP Sustainability Control Tower. So customers keeps asking us, like, what are the architecture options to move to these products? Where are you in terms of the product roadmap, right? So because these products are also evolving, these are all SaaS public cloud solutions. So there are a lot of things which is coming on roadmap, but there are a lot of things which are already available. So what are the capabilities where which you can use now to get into the journey and manage the carbon footprint of your whole supply chain, right? So in monitoring the scope 1, scope 2, and scope 3. So these are the three key questions. There are many questions, but these are the three key questions which we get from our customers. Now, let me give you an example, what we have done for one customer. So these are the modules which we have used to draw the target architecture and roadmap. So as usual, the first would be to get to the whole approach, the whole methodology, right from the business strategy. And here in this case, we also had to trace it, draw a sustainability traceability diagram in terms of the goals, drivers, and the capabilities and the initiatives. And then we did the capability mapping, heat mapping in terms of prioritization of what are the opportunities, like these new solutions could be an opportunity for you to adopt the capability. What are the pain points? Which are the capabilities, sustainability capabilities is differentiating for you? Which are the capabilities which is the core for you? Which are the non-core? That kind of heat mapping you can do. And then you come up with a product map, as-is map and to-be product map. And then you draw the overall target architecture, because the integration would be quite, again, complex here, because not only you need to integrate with your own landscape, but you also would need a lot of data sources which needs to come from other external sources. Because EH&S is if suppose, for example, you need to manage the dangerous goods or hazardous substances, you need a lot of content for the information what you need to get printed on even the goods when it's shipped. So there are a lot of integrations which comes in when you try to draw the target architecture. And finally, the roadmap, right? So what is your 5-year roadmap, 3-year roadmap? That's how the whole approach needs to be laid out. That's what we have done for this customer. And then we used our reference content. So there is a process block called Manage Sustainability, which is part of our SAP Enterprise Architecture framework. And then from the Manage Sustainability process, what are the capabilities which is required for this process to run is the next item here. And from the capabilities, we drew a high-level solution component map, right? So in this solution component map, you will have some applications in on-prem, some in private cloud, some in public cloud, some in BTP. So that's the high-level solution component map, which you will have it. And then we draw overall target application architecture with integrations with SAP, non-SAP solutions, including the integrations, the application link. So in a nutshell, this is how the whole cycle of transforming into a sustainable enterprise helps. But let me tell you, the immediate priority, this is maybe one or a few customers where they have asked us to do an exhaustive study. But the most frequent ask, which we have seen, is holistic steering reporting, because you may have already doing these kind of reporting through your Excel or through other data sources. That is one place where we see that immediate need, where our SAP Sustainability Control Tower helps in that. Other most important legal regulations which is coming is to manage the carbon footprint, and that is where our SAP product footprint management will come into play. So just to summarize now the whole thing, we have shown you some examples how we have done the capability prioritization. As you can see here, the traditional capabilities like dangerous goods management or hazardous substance management, you can see on the x-axis, current fulfillment of target capability is high because they have been doing this from multiple years. So that's what is on the right side. And also from business criticality perspective, it is high because that's where you need to report it back when you are shipping the goods. But if you see the newer solution, business criticality is high, but the current fulfillment of target capability is low, right? Like circular economy, which is primarily the emissions. Then you have environment footprint management, incident management. So that where we kind of plot this to show that from these two axes. The other example, just to give you, this is a very, there were some customer-specific information, so that's why I had to remove it. But it looks very simple here. But the important point to understand is you can already plan a roadmap of your sustainability applications, not only from an application perspective, but also from a sustainability business roadmap, right? So you can have a capability roadmap, which is the business roadmap, or you can have an application roadmap. So this is showing more of application roadmap across different clusters like emissions, plastic tax, data foundation and reporting, supply chain data collection, and product compliance. So this is just to give you a glimpse on how we do it, how we enable our customers to get into a sustainable enterprise. Now, just to summarize, that's what you have seen, what Chris was talking. Business architecture is definitely the most important for you which will translate your SAP's enterprise sustainability objectives to IT requirements and help improve the path from strategy to execution. Second, the SAP enterprise architecture methodology. That is one of the key things, the content which will help you to get to draw your target architecture and roadmap.